Dear students, welcome to Module 6 of Organizational Leadership, Part 1. In this module, we people are going to discuss on leadership development and succession. Anyway, we people have dealt with other 5 modules which are very basics on leadership and certain strategies which will be helping modules which will be helping us to understand the leadership. Here in this, we are going to discuss the major two elements of any leadership development is like developing of self-awareness and also self-discipline. This helps with understanding oneself, what we say as self-help, which will be contributing majorly in the development of leadership capability, and also this self-help it is going to be developed. So it becomes for any leader to have an ability of engaging himself with the other people, effectively interacting with those people. So this type of attitude of understanding people and interacting with the people or fellow people will be helping him to manage them properly. So I have two major components of a leadership like self-awareness and self-discipline. We go with the first one, the development of self-awareness. Uh, how do we people develop a leadership on the basis of self-awareness? So as a part of this, where we have to understand how any individual can perceive by the others. So if they understand that how people perceive us, okay, and we are able to understand, if we people are able to understand how exactly we people by others, that will help us to molding ourselves attitude or behavior whatever people have. We can adjust according to the interaction or happens between the leader and the followers. So we have an example here, like a leader might say, like I come across to others as a person of passion and commitment. Now, if I understand, if I as a leader understand that okay, people perceive me because I'm very much committed to the job which is given to us. So if I understand that, probably that I will rely for a long time. So here, if others going to be perceiving the leader in same way, the leader has to go with the own self awareness. Good sign of it. So here we have something like single loop learning. These two type of loop learning was Archie who termed these two type of loop learning like single loop and here when we talk about single loop learning, this type of learning occurs when that might basic ideas or maybe the action. So as an example, like when we talk about our rate group learning usually engage in very defensive type of thinking where they don't want to change themselves for any clues that. So here we have one more like double loop learning. It occurs when a feedback when it comes to the validity of the goal or maybe the values which is implicit in that particular situation. So to achieve such a type of accept the feedback, so the thinking what any will be having in this double loop. These people are very much going to be minimizing their defensive thinking towards the opinion given. Like single loop learning, here environment gives some feedback to the leader. So how he receives keep this in the mind, but they don't react to that and to investigate further to understand what. Also double loop learning here in this where environment will be talking to the feedback all the time. So this is something like very interesting type of feedback. It's to any leader to understand himself or to working on the wrong project, I hope I have to attitude or type of learning comes like leadership development to the self. Here we have something like leadership development through self discipline. In this self discipline is something that or any learner or leader will be given towards his own goals at particular situation. And like one's effort and energy, which will be making them to stay at attention towards their own important goals. And particularly, it is very much necessary that because every day what activities those people carry out, which will be driving them towards certain pressure. So keeping personal attention on the personal development of their own matters a lot. So when we are talking about this self-discipline, which is very much it's going to play continuously monitoring oneself, one's behavior, which will be ensuring that he will not waiting from his own goal and as well as his own self-development. We have an example like for example, somebody wants to be a more colorful communicator. Okay, the way of enhancing the charisma into the leader. So here the person should need some self-discipline which makes him very much conscious in putting effort to communicate more colorfully where he can be placed in very appropriate situations. Next we have education. Now this usually education is something which very formally any leader is going to acquire. Okay, this type of knowledge which will be acquired any concern about immediate education. Just they go through the education, some sort of knowledge will be kept in the mind. Sometimes they read some biographies or some autobiographies of very successful people, which will be acting like very good source to them, which gives them an idea about how leadership usually can be acquired. So especially this formal type of education which those people are going to receive has very much going to be correlated positively with achieving some managerial positions or leadership position in organization. So that will be depending the qualification of any person to be that in that particular position. So furthermore, there is something like as statistically we are going to discuss it, but still now at this moment, there is some positive relationship between the amount of any formal education which has been received and the level of leadership which that person is going to attain. So many people who get an opportunity to be at that particular position of a leadership, so they should have some specific or specific level of education that those people have to. So statistically, when we say how education contributes to the leadership effectiveness will be a very in a very greater extent to make a research upon. Next, we have some experience. This is something an experience people get, by having experience on certain or working on certain projects, jobs, or along with some experts. Next, we have here when it comes to on the job, the experience which gets on the job will be contributing too much to the leadership effectiveness. Now we can say that without any experience, knowledge cannot be converted into a skill. So here, when it comes to leadership experience, it will be helping somebody to build his own skills. Okay, inside that person may not have formally studied in education, something practically which is not being studied into a classroom between the four. The on the job can be helping them to tackle, understand, okay, get some good solutions for the problem. So many companies will be more focusing nowadays on developing leadership programs into the organization by giving some varied type of experience on the job to the executives which are working into type of stores. Here next we have something like a powerful learning experience from developing leadership skills. Okay, what type of learning happens on the on the experience basis when the job is given to them, like some unfamiliar responsibilities will be given which they become very familiar after working on that, providing themselves with opportunity to understand them. and how much capable those people are, and then developing new directions, downsizing decisions, that how did I do to fire somebody from the team and what should be the rules and regulations, how strategically that can be brought. Maybe dealing with some problems of an employee, how those people are going to manage some complexity of the business. Okay, if the overloaded job is given to them, how do the people manage their stress upon that and they handle them. Then also a pressure which those people experience from external, how do they handle it, not be affecting internal activities of the organization. So having that exert influence without any authority is also so difficult, because authority, without authority some jobs can be very difficult to get done from the others. So maybe something sometimes lack of top management support what comes to them here, because of deficiency of support from the top management will not be helping them to perform the job. So in such situations, how those people are going to manage themselves is very challenging task. We have something like mentoring here. Here, when people are developing capability in a leadership, any executive leader, the leadership capabilities, need to be coached by some experienced person or somebody, a leader which is having who is having knowledge on particular. So it is very often that quite often a person is a mentor or somebody more experienced person will be who develops changing ability to giving some tutorials, okay, coaching or guidance and emotional support to the budding leaders. We have something like very formal and informal type of mentoring here. So first we have informal mentoring, where this type of relationship is built between two people, and capability spark happens between two people. Okay, and the allied type of attitude will be there between them. Formally, which will not come from the organization, but still it is something somebody is willing to mentor someone, and somebody is going to get mentored. So these two people's interest and the capabilities and same type of attitude of mind or behavior them to come together and form into a informal type of mentoring. So when it comes to the formal mentoring, here usually a company is going to assign one mentor to a new employee who will be helping him to get succeeded. But remember, formal type of will be getting more benefits rather than the formal one, because informal mentors are also being perceived as more effective than the formal one, because it depends on how much interest of any mentor is there to guide a newly employee, because this is a part of the duty which he has to do on the organization side. The personal interest in keeping good relationship with that particular employee depends on the mentor's interest. So mentor brings into the employee who is under him is greater than the informal one. Sorry, greater than the formal mentors. So people who are having the ability of attracting their own mentors are more and more people. Okay, where they are going to develop such an attitude in among them that very strong enough, even they find themselves to get I mean the mentors get attracted to those people, and they willingly go and mentor them. Next we have the effective mentoring behavior. Mentor that how he can bring effectiveness into his mentoring process. So what type of behavior those people have to have, I just go through it. Here there are certain following points we have, which behavior is very particular and characteristics of certain good mentors. Any mentor should be very credible, highly credible, with who has very high integrity. Okay, who will be showing through whether the message delivered to the is in a positive or negative way. Sometimes it's necessary that he will tell people that things they have to do and what they do not do. I mean, they should not do it, and how interestfully those people are going to listen to the mentors. So we have something interacts with the people okay, in a way that makes anybody to get improvement into their effectiveness on the job. Makes the people to feel secure enough to be willing to take any risk after giving too much of confidence from the side of mentor. He will be helping somebody to boost their self confidence, to put aside your own inner doubts and then fear, where he will be making employee who is under him very fearless on the basis of the confidence he gives. So he is going to engage you to set such goals to yourself by developing the capabilities, and he is going to give you some very opportunities and some points of challenges which might helping you people to see your own capability also. Last we have, instead of he giving extensive answers to the problems which you people are going to face, he will be sharing a way of thinking about problem that you may not have thought about. So this is something very creative one what those people are going to be people to learn. So we have some leadership succession here. When we are talking about this leadership succession, it's a process which will be identifying, grooming people for the future who can be replacing the managers. So succession planning is very important for any health of the organization for a longer time, and which will be helping, and also therefore it is a very important one. The responsibility of any senior leadership to bring a new successor to the organization as a leader. So this aspect of succession of leadership will be focusing on maybe five topics here. One, it asks you something about how the how the board chooses a new chief officer, then succession planning at G and PNG, the emotional aspects of leadership succession, developing a pool of successors, and promoting with and with promoting from which. We go one by one. So when we talk about how the broad, no, sorry, how the board chooses a successor, now this is like a very general approach formally which will be taken in the organization by some group of people on the top management who have the responsibility of identifying a leader, okay, or a successor. Here this is something going to be following some standard principles of any human resource procedure of select, okay, and screening those candidates thoroughly, sometimes conducting an interview or talking to them face to face, as well as getting some reference from the people who have already worked with them individually. And this type of study which people do about that particular person is a proper successor or not for future positions. Here we usually find a background investigation which will be covering some possible scandals what he has been into, and some illegal behavior whether the person has shown into the organization. Next we have succession planning at General Electric and Procter. These are situations which has been told into the syllabus. Okay, what happens actually in this? Let me go through it. Here, much of the activity of any organization is going to be linked very closely to the succession planning. The members of the board are very closely involved in going to evaluation of the company's 130 highest ranking managers. They do it in twice a year. Directors going to be scrutinizing around about 15 of those people, which they use come from very use with those managers, managers for managers, okay, we will be referring them, some former associates and some group members. So directors are going to investigate this. They are going to suggest leadership development among them, and also going to be discussing the future assignment of those people, probable success, as well as honesty in evaluating the performance of managers and the business they represent contribute to the succession of the planning. Uh, Another famous we have Campbell. People do it very rigorously. They are going to develop succession program. So they are going to track the performance of every manager in the great detail. They make sure that anybody, the to be ready for the promotion. Here, each of the top 50 leadership positions has their replaced candidates in the line. Most replacements are from within. They do usually internal and helping reduce the 50% fail rate often contribute to promoting outsiders into key positions. Here, a key part of the developing succession is that given very high potential managers, like from the board experience, such as being the assistant manager, for cascade detergent, or maybe like the taking of assignments in some other areas or regions for developing their capability, like Canada and Asia. Comes like the emotional aspect of succession leadership. Family business versus we say others, where especially in family-owned type of business, so usually the leaders are going to be replaced by their own family by giving due consideration to the emotional attachment that those people have among them. Okay, and when it comes to some public type of companies which are not family owned, here people will be deciding that who is the very capable one among the company, or maybe sometimes those people are going to find from the other organizations, what we call as like headhunting type of strategies those people use. So as I told you, emotional attachment plays a very important role in family owned type of the relations among them. But in some other cases, that the replacement is going on the basis of how much any other leader is going to be qualified for that particular position. So next we have developing a pool of successors, and this is usually going to be involving some identifying some one or two candidates that is going to be for a specific type of job. The steps which are involved in developing a pool of successors, or we say the succession management, going to follow like this. Here they are going to evaluate to the extent to which an organization is going to have pending of leadership shortages in the department. The planning should be beginning from around several years in advance, okay, of when the new leader will be needed. So identifying the needed executive competencies, they are going to list down the competencies which is going to be based around the firm's future business needs and values and strategies, and also on depends on some vision or the, maybe a objective of an organization. And then next, third one, we talk about identifying high potential individuals for possible inclusion in the pool, and areas these individuals to have some strength among themselves, and development to determine who will be staying in the high potential pool. It is going to decide by group of people. Next, we have something like further steps like establish an individual tailored development program for which very high type of high potential candidates will be included those type of leadership development program. Usually the job rotation type of strategy, or some assignments are very specific to them, or even mentoring will be also given. Some mentors will be appointed. So to rise this type of task to be given, very high opportunities to change their responsibilities every 3 to 5 years. So altogether, they are going to get some, some bunch of experience to be on the top. Next up is selecting and placing people into senior jobs on the performance, on the basis given the task to them, the experience what those people have, and the capability or potentiality those people have to hold that particular job position. But in these type of positions, usually the leaders should have some access to the board members, including making some presentations to them regarding their achievements and the managers will be are going to develop a sense of what matters to the directors, and directors will be getting some you know first hand information about the talent, okay, what that person is having, and they will be keeping them into the pipeline to promote or not. Last, continuous monitoring should be done regarding the program and should give uh, the information top management by supporting it. Next, we are promoting from within a type of strategy. As I told you, people, some family business they want to promote their own family members. So sometimes, even sometimes in a public or in private company, where the capable candidates who were from the past few years are into pipeline leadership development program, those people will be identified and will be chosen for the leadership positions. When we are talking about position from within, and now whether company should promote an inside or outside to the top position, it is a very crucial decision that anybody has to take at that particular moment. So research will be done, analysis will be done. After that, they are going to suggest that the promoting insiders with an outsider perspective may be the best solution. The problem that anybody gets from the outside is because these people are brought from the company by use of hidden strategy. Okay, and the change which they can bring the organization or company that may not match to the expectation of the present vision or mission of the organization. So promotion from within also offers us some advantage of more hope, uh, have more opportunity to advance within the company, and the culture is very well known to those people. Often do not see radical change can be brought because outsiders when they come, then one more advantage concept bring into the industry can be brought, okay, with a new concept. Due to resistance from the inside, it depends on the person who is going to be. So outsiders may sometimes they recognize the need for a new approach, as I told you, people, but limited because they may not understand sometimes the company's culture or the industry soon when they are going to be appointed. We have some leadership development programs. We go one by one. Here we have some different type of leadership development programs. So we start with feedback interactive programs. It's a very the best one usually used into many organizations. It looks something like a double loop learning type where feedback plays a very important role. Intensively, any leader is going to receive a feedback from the people who belongs to that particular job, okay, and who have the capability of understanding a leader's behavior and attitude on that particular job. Here, feedback is taken on after a development of the this leadership program, which will be helping any leader to see his own behavioral patterns, where such behavior will be helping them to impact on their effectiveness. So next we have something like a skill-based program. The second one like program here in a situation where in the skill-based training program the leader will be receiving an idea that how applied on that particular problem or a situation, what he's going to experience. So this involves like acquiring the abilities and techniques which will be helping them to convert them into the action. So usually we said that acquiring knowledge, this is acquiring skills. But as I told you, people emphasizement will be given on how learning can happen by using the skills and converting them into, I mean, how application can be done by its own knowledge. So here typical example we have for any manager to develop the coaching skills. What he has to do is he or she can be more effective in face-to-face interaction with the people as a leader. So the different methods we have often which is used into skill learning type of programs like lecture, case study, role play, behavior modeling, role modeling, and simulation. Usually these are common things like a lecture method or giving method or like imagining on particular situation acting as a person responsible to solve it on different characters. Two things which have been discussed now apart from all those three. One is behavioral role modeling, and next we have something like called as simulations. Behavioral role modeling something is an extension of based on learning society, or we say it as social learning theory, because people are involved in it, assessed and identified among the people. So here what we do here is that some model of behavior, appropriate behavior will be exhibited between the group in the form of role play, and the information is going to be gathered like in the form of feedback. So finally what happens is that the trainer who is in the classroom and different participants who are present at that moment, given they are going to give some feedback on the performance of what behavior consequences. So next we have something called like expectations. This is something when participants will be getting some information, okay, like in the form of computerized packets, where it will be facilitating those people to understand what actually the real organization can be seen, okay, that type of act accordingly, thinking that it's a social organization which is going to be working upon. And this is going to equip the people, that is the leaders, okay, are theory type, and these type of knowledge which is based on conceptual are very much important, because they will be giving some alerts to the what will be making a difference in the leadership. So we have some example here. If a person is going to study how a leader brings about these type of ideas when the real life situation. Next we have organization program. This is a type of program which will be given more importance on acceptance of any vision or mission or culture of the organization, or the values of the organization, where the senior people, the executives, some presentation on the on these type of programs, where they will be telling the what has to be by any participants towards the organization. Here these programs they serve as a people are going to be viewed as a follows to them, and the same thing has to be perceived by the participants will be made so. And the more important, any leader that will be sustaining the culture function, as well as a very high priority for very honest in dealing with the customers and others. Now we have something action. Now this is a concept or a program which will be helping any a potential leader can be working among the group to solve problem which comes to the organization, where usually they are going to influence a lot in the group. Much of such type of development program is going to reduce relates to the problem solving or creative type of activities. They are going to collaborate with a very new set of people, where it will be enhanced skills among the. So this an opportunity will be given to any leader, especially when it comes to action learning program. This coaching and psychotherapy which we have in the last will be helping any managers to cope up with the problems that they or sometimes they get a hurdle, or say something we say as a block, no, where it's going to block them from being a good leader. So what happens is the managers who are going to be coached will be receiving some advice and certain encouragement in relation to their skills of a leadership. Here coaching is usually the most directed approach to a leadership program, because that will be helping any person to be able to improve in the areas where he will be getting himself prevented from being a leader, or blocking further in the progress of the leader. So this type of coaching or psychotherapy will be helping in understanding what is going to be for anybody to be a leader. Okay, this completes your module 6 of organizational leadership. This is all about your total organizational leadership subject, which has covered almost all the syllabus completely 100%. Thanks to the students for cooperating with me in completing this syllabus. Thank you very much.